and the world stops. She controls the narrative by saying nothing. She creates a void of information. And because nature abhors a vacuum, the world rushes in with curiosity, with obsession, with awe. You can do this. You don't need millions of dollars to adopt the strategy of silence. You just need the discipline to delay your gratification. You need to be willing to be a nobody for a little while so you can be a force of nature forever.
There is a stoic power in this. The ancient philosophers understood that the more you value things outside your control, like the opinions of others, the less control you have over your own life. Epictetus, the slave who became a master of his own mind, told his students, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't talk about being a good person, just be one. Don't talk about being a writer, write. Don't talk about getting in shape, train. When you talk about what you are going to do, you are begging for a loan from the world. You are borrowing respect that you haven't earned yet. And the interest rate on that loan is your integrity. Because if you don't deliver, if you talk big and fail small, you teach yourself that your word means nothing. You teach your subconscious mind that you are a liar. And once you lose trust in yourself, it is game over. But when you work in silence, when you make a promise to yourself and you keep it, when you wake up at 5 a.m. and do the 666 inches workout like Kobe Bryant, 2 hours of running, 2 hours of basketball, 2 hours of weights, and you don't post it on Instagram, you build something that no amount of likes can give you. You build self-respect. You build a callus on your mind that says, I do this because I said I would, not because they are watching. Kobe didn't train to be seen training. He trained to be undeniable when the lights came on. He famously said he wouldn't negotiate with himself. He didn't need the external validation because the internal standard was so much higher than anything the world could expect of him. That is the Mamba mentality. It's not about the noise, it's about the work in the dark. So how do we apply this to 2026? How do we take this philosophy and turn it into a weapon for your life? You need to enter dark mode. Dark mode isn't about being depressed or negative. It is about singular focus. It is about unplugging from the matrix of other people's opinions and plugging into your own potential. It means you look at the next 12 to 24 months and you decide that you are going to disappear from the noise. You are going to stop broadcasting your next move. In fact, you are going to stop telling people anything about your finances, your love life, or your next big plan. These are the three things that people love to ruin. If you tell them you're making money, they want a loan. If you tell them you're broke, they lose respect. If you tell them about your relationship troubles, they gossip. If you tell them about your new love, they plant doubt. Keep your private life private. Instead, you are going to pick one major goal for 2026. Just one. And you are going to become obsessed with it. You are going to apply the 20-mile march discipline. Every day, you move the needle. You don't talk about it. You don't complain about how hard it is. You just do it. You need to understand that the gap between who you are and who you want to be is filled with uncomfortable silence. It is filled with boring, repetitive days. The social reality theory tells us that we talk to bridge that gap because we are scared we can't bridge it with work. We talk to soothe our anxiety about being inadequate. We talk because we feel incomplete. But you must learn to sit in that incompleteness. You must learn to look at your reflection and say, I am not there yet, and that is okay. I will not soothe myself with cheap praise. I will earn my way there. This is about accountability. True accountability isn't posting day 1 of 75 hard so your friends can cheer you on. True accountability is looking at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and knowing whether you won or lost and having that be enough. It is about shifting your locus of control from the external to the internal. When you depend on external feedback to stay motivated, you are a slave to that feedback. If they cheer, you work. If they criticize, you quit. If they ignore you, you wither. Is that freedom? Is that power? No. Power is when you can work in an empty room with no windows and no audience, driven only by the vision in your head. And let's be honest about the people you are trying to impress. Most of them are lost. Most of them are drifting.
They are wandering generalities rather than meaningful specifics. Why are you seeking directions from people who have never been where you are going?
You have to realize that by 2026, the economy will have changed, technology will have changed, the world will be different. If you spend this time arguing with people on the internet or trying to prove you are right to people who don't care, you are going to wake up left behind. The world is ruthless. It rewards results, not intentions. It rewards the finished product, not the blueprint. Imagine you are an architect. You don't invite people to live in the blueprints. You don't throw a party on the empty lot. You dig the hole. You pour the concrete. You erect the steel. You put up the drywall. It is messy. It is loud. It is ugly. And then, when the paint is dry and the lights are on, you open the door and you don't have to say a word. The building speaks for itself. Be the architect of your life. Stop inviting people to critique your blueprints. They don't understand the engineering. They don't see the vision. They just see a hole in the ground and tell you it looks like a grave. But you know it's a foundation. There is a freedom in this silence. When you stop performing for others, you can finally start being honest with yourself. You can admit what you don't know. You can make mistakes without the fear of public embarrassment. You can pivot. You can change your mind. You are fluid. You are water. But once you announce a path, you are frozen. You are stuck trying to defend an identity that you might have outgrown 3 months ago. Silence gives you the room to change. It gives you the space to fail, and you will fail. Failure is part of the process, but failing in private is a lesson. Failing in public is a spectacle. Why add the weight of humiliation to the weight of learning? Keep your failures to yourself, extract the lesson, discard the pain, and keep moving. There is a concept in psychology called the 90-10 rule, attributed to Stephen Covey. 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to it. When you live loudly, when you react to everything, when you broadcast every thought, you are letting the 10% control you. You are reactive. But when you are silent, when you pause, you gain control over the 90%. You choose your response. You master your fate. So here is the protocol for the next era of your life. First, identify the identity goal you are most desperate to tell people about. The one that makes you want to brag. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's making your first million. Maybe it's getting six-pack abs. Identify it. Now take a vow of silence on that specific goal. Tell no one. Not your mother, not your best friend, not your spouse, unless they are directly involved in the execution. If you need a mentor, hire one, pay them for their silence and their expertise, but do not share it with peers for free dopamine. Second, embrace the discomfort of obscurity. You will feel an itch to share. You will see others posting their wins and you will want to show that you are winning too. Resist it. Let that pressure build. Transmute that pressure into mechanical work. When you want to talk, work. When you want to post, train. When you want to explain, execute. Third, trust the timing of your life. You don't need to bloom in 2024 or 2025 just because everyone else is. Bamboo sleeps underground for 5 years, building a root structure that stretches for miles, doing absolutely nothing visible on the surface. And then in 6 weeks, it shoots up 90 feet in the air. If the bamboo had tried to shoot up before the roots were ready, it would have toppled over in the first wind. You are building your roots. You are in your bamboo season. Do not disturb the soil just to prove there is a seed down there. The world belongs to the focused. The world belongs to the disciplined. The world belongs to the few who can hold a vision in their mind without needing to shout it from the rooftops. By the time 2026 arrives, you won't need to introduce yourself. You won't need to update your bio. You won't need to explain what you've been doing. They will look at you. They will look at the life you have built, the person you have become, and they will ask, how did you do it? And you will smile, and you will say, nothing, because the work speaks for itself. There is another layer to this, a deeper psychological truth that you need to weaponize. It's about how your brain processes identity symbols. You see, your mind is constantly trying to build a self-image. It wants to know, who am I? Am I a winner? Am I a loser? Am I a hard worker? When you keep your actions private, your brain has only one source of data to answer that question: your behavior. If you wake up and work, your brain says, I am a worker. If you endure pain in silence, your brain says, I am tough. You build a genuine, unbreakable identity because it is based on evidence, not applause. But when you talk, when you curate a persona, your brain gets confused. It starts to believe the persona instead of the reality. You start to think you are the person you present on Instagram rather than the person you are when the phone is off. And that is a dangerous delusion. That is how you wake up 10 years from now, bitter and hollow, wondering why the world didn't give you what you pretended to deserve. Don't let that be you. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. This is the tax you pay for greatness. When you go silent, people will create narratives to fill the void. They will think you are arrogant. They will think you are depressed. They will think you are falling apart. Let them. Their confusion is not your problem. Their narrative is not your reality. In fact, their doubt is your fuel. There is a dark, powerful energy in proving people wrong without ever saying a word to them. It is the silent revenge of success. You don't fight them in the comments section. You fight them by outworking them, outlasting them, and outgrowing them. You need to cultivate what the Stoics called apatheia. Not apathy, but a freedom from suffering, a state of being where you are unshakable because your validation comes from within. You become a fortress. The arrows of criticism bounce off. The seduction of praise doesn't enter. You are locked in. Think about the sheer amount of time you currently spend managing the perceptions of others. The time you spend thinking about captions. The time you spend replaying conversations, wondering if you sounded smart. The time you spend worrying about what they will think if you fail. Now imagine if you took all of that energy, every single ounce of it, and poured it into your craft. Imagine if you took the energy of image management and turned it into skill acquisition. You would become lethal. You would become a master while they are still amateurs. The year 2026 is coming. Whether you are ready or not, the time will pass anyway. You can spend it explaining your dreams, or you can spend it living them. You can be the person who talks a good game, or the person who changes the game. But you cannot be both. You have to choose. And the choice must be made today, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Close your mouth, open your eyes, look at the path in front of you. It is steep, it is rocky, it is lonely, and it is the only way up. Are you starting to feel the weight of this truth? Good. That heaviness you feel is responsibility returning to your shoulders. It is the burden of your own potential. Let's talk about the observation effect. In physics, the mere act of observing a particle changes its behavior. In life, the act of being observed changes your behavior. When you know you are being watched, you perform, you avoid risks, you stick to what looks safe. You lose the ability to experiment, to look stupid, to fail messy. But in the dark, in the silence, you can be messy. You can try the things that might not work. You can be ugly in your effort. And that is where innovation comes from. That is where breakthroughs happen. You need the privacy to be imperfect so that you can eventually become excellent. If you are always on stage, you are always acting. And actors don't change the world. They just entertain it. You need to step off the stage. Go to the dressing room. Wipe off the makeup. Look at the scars. And get to work on the real you. This is the dark mode philosophy. It is a temporary withdrawal for a permanent advance. It is pulling the arrow back on the bowstring. To the outside world, it looks like you are retreating. It looks like you are going backward. But you know the truth. You are creating potential energy. You are building tension. And when you finally let go, when you finally release that arrow in 2026, it won't just fly, it will soar. It will pierce through every doubt, every obstacle, and every limitation that was placed upon you.
But you have to hold the tension. You have to hold the string back even when your arm shakes, even when you want to scream, even when you want to look at the crowd and say, look at me. Don't do it. Hold, wait for the target, wait for the moment, and then strike.
You must also understand the role of mystery. We live in a time where everyone is a transparent book. You can read their breakfast, their breakup, and their bank balance in 5 minutes of scrolling. They are boring, they are consumable, they are disposable. But you are going to be a riddle. You are going to be a question mark. When you don't tell people what you do, you become a magnet. They lean in, they want to know, what is he up to? She seems different, but I can't put my finger on it. That mystery commands respect. It signals that you are holding something back, that you have a reserve of power that you aren't showing. And in a world of noise, the person who holds back is the person who holds the power. So as you step into this new way of being, remember this rule. Results are the only language that needs no translation. You can explain your plan in English, Spanish, or French, and someone will misunderstand you. But if you hold up a gold medal, if you hold up the deed to the house, if you stand there in the best shape of your life, no one misunderstands that. The result cuts through the noise. The result silences the cynics. The result ends the argument. Your job between now and 2026 is to manufacture results. Nothing else. If it doesn't move the needle, don't do it. If it doesn't build the asset, don't say it. If it doesn't strengthen the mind, don't watch it. Become a machine of execution. Become a ghost in the machine of society. Let them scroll. You build. Let them post. You plan. Let them talk. You work. And when they ask you, hey, what are you doing these days? We haven't seen you in a while. You look them in the eye. You give them a calm, confident smile. And you simply say, I'm just focusing on me. And then you walk away and you get back to the lab. Because 2026 isn't a destination. It's a revelation. And you are the secret that is about to be revealed. You have closed your mouth. You have stepped into the shadows. The initial rush of validation you used to get from announcing your plans is gone. And now you are left with something far more terrifying and far more real: the void. This is the moment where most people break. This is the moment where the silence becomes deafening. And the itch to post, to share, to just get a little bit of that cheap dopamine hit comes clawing back. But you are not going to break. You are going to fill that void with something so dense, so heavy, and so undeniable that it will change the molecular structure of your life. You are going to fill it with the work. We are done with goal intentions. The research from psychology is crystal clear. Saying, I want to lose weight or I want to be rich is a waste of oxygen. It is a vague wish that your brain discards the moment the pressure hits. We are shifting now to what the experts call implementation intentions. This is the operating system of the elite. It is not a wish, it is a code. It is an if-then algorithm that you program into your daily existence. If it is 5 a.m., then I am in the gym. If I am held up at work, then I will write for 30 minutes before I sleep. If I feel the urge to scroll, then I will open a book. You are stripping away the emotion of the decision. You are automating your discipline. You are not trying to do anything anymore. You are simply executing a script. Let's talk about what this execution actually looks like. It isn't a movie montage. There is no inspiring music playing in the background. It is boring. It is repetitive. It is unsexy. It is the 666 inches workout routine of Kobe Bryant. 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, for 6 months a year. Imagine the physical reality of that. It's not just working hard. It is 2 hours of track work, sprinting until your lungs burn, doing 100, 200, 400 meter repeats until your legs feel like lid. Then it's 2 hours of basketball skills, making 700 to 1,000 shots a day, not taking them, making them. And then another 2 hours of weightlifting. Why did he do this? Why did he punish himself in the dark? Because he knew that by the time the season started, by the time the lights came on and the cameras were rolling, he had already won. He had outworked and outlearned every single opponent before they even stepped on the court. He wasn't negotiating with his fatigue. He wasn't looking for a pat on the back. He was building a gap between him and everyone else that was mathematically impossible to close. When Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade came down for breakfast at the 2008 Olympics, bleary-eyed and waking up, they found Kobe already there, drenched in sweat, ice on his knees. He had already finished a 3-hour workout while they were sleeping. That is the standard. That is what it means to move in silence. You are finishing your race before the rest of the world has even tied their shoes. You need to treat your life like Apple treated the original iPhone. They called it Project Purple. And the first rule of Project Purple was you do not talk about Project Purple. They locked the team in a building. They put badge readers on the doors. They had cameras watching the hallways. They created a silo where the outside world did not exist. The engineers worked 168-hour weeks. They slept under their desks. They sacrificed nights, weekends, and holidays for years. Why? Because they weren't just building a phone, they were building a revolution. And you cannot build a revolution if you are leaking your energy to the outside world. They understood that if they let the secret out, if they let the pressure release too early, the magic would die. They managed the risk by working on parallel tracks, codename P1 and codename P2, testing different technologies in absolute secrecy to ensure that when they finally stepped on that stage, the product was flawless. You are the engineer of your own Project Purple. Your 2026 is the product launch. And right now, you are in the lockdown phase. You need to scrutinize your life with the same intensity. You need to put badge readers on your mental energy. Who gets access to your time? Who gets access to your thoughts? If they aren't helping you build the iPhone of your life, they don't get in the building. This is where you apply the 20-mile march discipline. It's not about the grand gesture. It's about the brutal consistency. Jim Rohn taught us that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Conversely, failure is just a few errors in judgment repeated every day. It's the error of sleeping in. It's the error of skipping the workout. It's the error of spending money you don't have. These errors compound, but so do the disciplines. You have to fall in love with the boredom of consistency. You have to find glory in the grind. You need to adopt a philosophy of deep work. This means distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit. You need to block out time, real, tangible blocks on your calendar, where the phone is off, the door is locked, and you are digging deep into your craft. Maybe you're building a business. Maybe you're learning to code. Maybe you're writing a book. Whatever it is, you need to engage in what the Stoics called concentrated action. Marcus Aurelius told himself to waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop arguing about what a successful person looks like. Stop posting quotes about the hustle. Be the hustle. Embody the Mamba mentality. It's not just about the physical work, it's about the mental side. Kobe watched film of himself at halftime. He studied his own mistakes while the game was still happening. He called entrepreneurs, CEOs, and masters of their craft just to pick their brains, to learn one new thing. He was a sponge. He understood that the more you learn, the more you earn. You must become a learning machine. In this quiet period leading up to 2026, you need to devour knowledge. Read the books, take the courses, but don't just consume, apply. As the dark mode philosophy states, to know the path is not to walk the path. Theory is useless without execution. You don't learn by reading, you learn by doing. And while you are doing this work, while you are in the trenches, you will face resistance. You will face the dip. You will face the moment where the novelty wears off and the pain sets in. This is where you need the satir change model. You will go through chaos before you reach the new status quo. Your performance might even dip before it gets better. That is normal. That is part of the process. Do not mistake the struggle for failure. This is where you need to cultivate a marafati, a love of fate. When the obstacles come, when the fatigue sets in, when the doubt creeps into your mind at 3 a.m., you don't shrink. You embrace it. You say, good,
This is the fire that is forging me. This is the resistance that is making me stronger. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way.
You need to develop a psychological echo with yourself. You need to understand your own deepest needs and fears, why you're doing this. If it's just for money, you will quit. If it's just for fame, you will quit. It has to be deeper. It has to be about identity. It has to be about becoming the person who can do this. You attract success by the person you become. Stop chasing success. Stop chasing money. Chase value. Chase excellence. Chase the version of yourself that is capable of commanding the room without saying a word. And speaking of commanding the room, let's talk about how you carry yourself during this phase. You are going to be around people. You can't live in a cave, but you are going to change how you interact. You are going to practice calculated opacity. You are never going to be completely clear about your intentions. You are going to show only what is necessary. When people ask you what you are doing, you don't give them the blueprint. You give them the silent stare. You give them a vague answer. You let them fill in the blanks with their own imagination. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Let them see the surface. Let them see the calm. But keep the storm inside. This silence is a weapon. It confuses your enemies and it intrigues your allies. It creates a curiosity gap. Humans are wired to fill in missing information. If you tell them everything, you become boring. You become consumable. But if you hold back, if you practice controlled exposure, you become a puzzle they can't solve. And do not underestimate the power interest grid of the people around you. Manage your stakeholders. There are people with high power and high interest. Manage them closely, but do not give them your soul. There are people with low power and high interest. Keep them informed, but do not let them drain your energy. You are the CEO of your life, and you need to be ruthless about who gets your bandwidth. This is about throughput accounting for your life. Focus on increasing the throughput of value you deliver, not just cutting costs or staying busy. Being busy is not the same as being productive. You can be busy for years and build nothing. You need to focus on the North Star metric of your life. What is the one thing that actually moves the needle? Identify it, obsess over it, and ignore everything else. Apply the Pareto principle. 80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions. Find that 20%. Is it your morning routine? Is it that specific skill you're learning? Is it that one relationship you're nurturing? Find it and double down on it. Ruthlessly eliminate the 80% that is just noise. You need to eat that frog every single morning. Do the hardest thing first, the thing you are dreading, the thing that scares you. Do it while the world is asleep. Do it before your brain has time to come up with excuses. Because once that hard thing is done, you have won the day. You have built momentum. And momentum is the only thing that matters. Momentum thrives in silence. When you talk, you stop the momentum. You pause to look around for applause. Don't pause. Keep the engine running. Keep the wheels turning. You are building a flywheel, and it takes massive effort to get it moving, but once it spins, it becomes unstoppable. You are going to face the resistance. It will come in the form of procrastination. It will come in the form of productivity porn, reading about working instead of working. It will come in the form of self-doubt. You need to recognize these for what they are. Symptoms of fear. Fear that you might actually be great. Fear that you might actually leave your old life behind. Conquer that fear with micro habits. If you can't do an hour, do 1 minute. If you can't write a chapter, write a sentence. Lower the barrier to entry until you can't say no. Then do it again and again. Capability is confirmed and grows in its corresponding actions. Walking by walking, running by running. You become a writer by writing, not by telling people you are a writer. This is the Kaizen way, continuous improvement. 1% better every day. It doesn't look like much in a day. It doesn't look like much in a week. But over a year, over 2 years leading up to 2026, it is geometric growth. It is the difference between stagnation and mastery. You must also master your environment. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are complainers, if they are time vampires, if they are drama magnets, you need to cut the cord. You cannot afford to have your energy drained by people who are committed to mediocrity. This is conscious unavailability. You are no longer available for their crisis. You are no longer available for their gossip. You are booked. You are busy. You are building. And yes, this will make you lonely. Solitude is the price of greatness. But do not confuse loneliness with weakness. Solitude is a laboratory. It is where you mix the chemicals of your potential. It is where you strip away the mask you wear for society and find the face you had before the world told you who to be. In this solitude, you will find your ikigai, your reason for being. You will find the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And when you find that, you lock onto it with the ferocity of a drowning man finding air. You need to operate with ambiguous morality when it comes to your time. This doesn't mean being unethical. It means being ruthless. It means saying no to good things so you can say yes to great things. It means disappointing people to avoid disappointing yourself. It means being selfish with your focus so you can be generous with your results later. You are building a fortress of silence. And inside that fortress, you are the king. You set the laws. You set the pace. You don't explain your choices. You don't justify your absence. You simply do the work. Remember the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. Do this faster than everyone else. Observe the market. Orient your skills. Decide on a path. And ACT. While they are still observing, you are already acting. While they are deciding, you are already finishing. Speed is a weapon. Silence is a shield. You are going to use the pre-mortem technique. Look ahead to 2026. Imagine you failed. Imagine you are in the exact same place you are now. Why did it happen? Did you get distracted? Did you give up? Did you talk too much? Identify the failure points now and destroy them before they destroy you. This is the Mamba mentality. It is the Project Purple protocol. It is the dark mode discipline. It is all of these things combined into a singular piercing focus on execution. You are not here to play a game. You are here to build a legacy. And legacies are not built on I hope or I wish. They are built on I did. So look at your hands. These are the tools of your trade. Look at your mind. That is the architect of your future. Look at the clock. That is the only resource you cannot get back. Stop leaking your power. Stop giving away your energy. Stop seeking the cheap applause of people who don't matter. Go dark, go deep, go hard. Because the shift isn't coming. The shift is here. The grind isn't something you do. It's something you are. And the strategy is simple. Silence, focus, execution. And when you feel like quitting, when the silence gets too loud, when the loneliness feels like a weight you can't carry, remember this. The bamboo tree sleeps underground for 5 years. You water it, you fertilize it, you protect it, and you see nothing. Nothing breaks the surface. The neighbors laugh. They say you're watering dirt. They say you're crazy, but you keep watering. You keep protecting. You keep believing in what you cannot see. And then, in the 5th year, in a span of 6 weeks, it shoots up 90 feet in the air. Did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? No. It grew 90 feet in 5 years. It was building the root system to support the height. It was gathering the energy to touch the sky. You are in your 1st year. You are in your 2nd year. You are building the roots. Do not dig up the seed to see if it's growing. Trust the soil. Trust the silence. Trust the work. The year 2026 is your harvest, but today is for planting. So grab the shovel, dig the hole, plant the seed, and don't say a word. The year is 2026. The calendar flips. The sun rises on a Tuesday morning that looks like any other Tuesday to the rest of the world, But for you, the atmosphere has shifted. The air tastes different. It tastes like ozone after a storm. It tastes like victory. You are standing at the finish line of a marathon you ran entirely in the dark. While the rest of the world was posting about their training runs, arguing about their shoes, and begging for likes on their progress pictures, you were a ghost. You were a phantom. You were gone, and now you have reappeared. But you didn't just come back, you arrived. Think about the sheer electric shock of that moment. Do you remember how the world felt when Beyoncé dropped her self-titled album in the middle of the night with zero promotion, no interviews, no teasers, no coming soon hype to beg for attention? Just boom. The album appeared and the world stopped spinning. It was a cultural seismic shift because the silence created a vacuum and the excellence filled it with the force of a tsunami. That is what you have done with your life. By refusing to leak your energy, by refusing to broadcast your intentions, you created a strategic scarcity. You became the rarest commodity in a world of cheap noise, a person of substance, a person of mystery. And now, when you finally open the door to the fortress you've been building, you don't have to ask for attention. You command it. This is the victory over social reality. Remember the science? Remember how the brain wanted to trick you into feeling complete just by talking about it. You defeated your own biology. You starved the part of your brain that craved the cheap dopamine of a compliment. And because you starved it, your hunger for the real reward grew into a voracious, unstoppable beast. You didn't settle for the premature sense of completeness. You paid the full price. You bought the whole thing. And now you own the result. Look at your hands. In this vision of 2026, they are calloused from the work. Look at your mind. It is fortified. You applied the Mamba mentality, not as a hashtag, but as a religion. You did the 666 workouts, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, in the metaphorical gym of your craft. While they were sleeping, you were running. While they were eating, you were lifting. And just like Kobe Bryant in 2008, when the competition comes down for breakfast, bleary-eyed and soft, they find you there, drenched in sweat, ice on your knees, already finished with a day's work before they buttered their toast. You have outworked and outlearned them in the dark. And the gap you created, it is now mathematically impossible for them to close. This is the moment where the substitution effect dies and the realization effect begins. You didn't substitute the talking for the doing. You did the doing, and the result is that you have built an identity symbol that is unbreakable. You aren't acting like a winner anymore. You aren't signaling success. You are the success. The identity is no longer a costume you put on for Instagram. It is fused to your bones. And the people around you, watch their faces. This is the sweetest part of the victory. It's not petty, it's profound. The ones who doubted you, the ones who whispered that you had fallen off, that you were lost, that you were quiet quitting on life, they are stunned into silence. They will ask you, how did you do this? When did this happen? They will look for the shortcut. They will look for the hack. But you will know the truth. You utilized the Project Purple protocol. You locked the doors. You put up the badge readers. You worked 168 hours a week in the chambers of your mind. You treated your life like a classified operation. You didn't let the outside world into the lab until the prototype was flawless. And because you protected the process, the product is undeniable. Results are the only language that cannot be argued with. You can debate a philosophy. You can critique a plan. You can mock a dream. But you cannot argue with a finished skyscraper. You cannot argue with a gold medal. You cannot argue with a bank account that has changed your family tree for generations. The result cuts through the noise like a hot knife through butter. It silences the critics without you ever having to speak a word. This is the ultimate form of stoic silence. You didn't explain your philosophy. You embodied it. You stopped arguing about what a good man or a successful woman should be, and you just became one. You realized that waste no more time arguing was the only command that mattered. And now, you have something far more valuable than money or fame. You have self-trust. deep in the marrow of your soul, that you are a person who keeps their word. You know that when you set a BHH, a big, hairy, audacious goal, you have the discipline to hunt it down and kill it. You have proven to yourself that you are not a fraud. You are not a talker. You are meaningful, specific in a world of wandering generalities. You have achieved Ikigai, the convergence of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you are paid for. You didn't find it by asking for directions. You found it by walking the path alone. You embraced the solitude of the strong. You learned that being alone wasn't a punishment. It was a preparation. It was the cocoon. And 2026 is the moment you break out of that cocoon, not as a caterpillar with a plan, but as a creature that can fly. The OODA loop of your life is now spinning so fast that the world looks like it's standing still. You observe, orient, decide, and act while they are still arguing about the observation. You have become a force of nature. So what does this legacy look like? It looks like freedom. Freedom from the need for validation. Freedom from the addiction to likes. Freedom from the anxiety of social reality. You have reached a state of apatheia, not indifference, but equanimity. You are unshakable. If they clap, you work. If they hiss, you work. If they ignore you, you work. Your internal engine is perpetual. You have tapped into a source of energy that is renewable because it comes from your own integrity, not from their applause. You have built a fortress of silence, and inside that fortress, you are the king, you are the queen. You have reclaimed your psychic energy from the vampires, the drama magnets, and the complainers. You stopped leaking your power to people who didn't deserve a drop of it. And now you have a reservoir of power so deep it could light up a city. This is the Mamba way. This is the Steve Jobs way. This is the way of the masters. They didn't tell you what they were doing until it was done. And when it was done, the world changed. Your 2026 is your iPhone launch. Your 2026 is your lemonade drop. Your 2026 is your championship ring. But listen to me closely, and this is the most important part. The victory isn't the end. The victory is just the proof that the process works. The moment you hold that trophy, the moment you sign that deed, the moment you stand in the mirror and see the person you've sculpted from the clay of your own discipline, you will realize something terrifying and beautiful. You will realize that the silence wasn't a temporary tactic. It wasn't a hack to get you to the finish line. The silence is the lifestyle. You will realize that you never want to go back to the noise. You never want to go back to being the person who begs for attention. You have tasted the nectar of deep work and flow state, and everything else tastes like ash. You have felt the power of moving in silence, and you will never trade it for the cheap thrill of moving in noise again. You will become a generative force. You will seek out the next challenge, the next big, hairy, audacious goal, and you will attack it with the same quiet ferocity. You will become a level 5 leader, humble but driven, quiet but relentless. So here is your final instruction. Here is the decree for the rest of your life. The world is going to try to pull you back. They will try to bait you into talking. They will try to trigger your ego. They will say, oh, you think you're better than us now? They will say, why are you so secretive? They will try to drag you back into the crab bucket of shared mediocrity. Do not let them. Hold the line. Keep the badge readers on the door. Keep the Fight Club rules in effect. You have the blueprint now. You know the science. You know the philosophy. You know that telling your goals is the enemy of achieving them. You know that the social reality is a lie that robs you of your actual reality. You are standing at the precipice of the greatest era of your life. The next few years, the time between this very second and that moment in 2026 are going to pass anyway. The time will go by. The clock never stops. You can spend that time explaining, justifying, and posting, or you can spend it building. You can spend it begging for a seat at their table, or you can spend it building your own table, in your own house, on your own land. The choice is yours. But understand this, if you choose the silence, if you choose the work, if you choose to disappear into the grind, there will be no parade today. There will be no applause tomorrow. There will be lonely nights. There will be doubts. There will be pain. But when you emerge, when you finally step out of the shadows, you won't just be successful.
You will be untouchable. So I want you to take a breath, a deep breath. Fill your lungs with the potential of what is coming.
Feel the weight of your dreams. Good. They are supposed to be heavy. They are real. Now do me one favor. The most important favor you will ever do for yourself. Take that big, beautiful, terrifying plan for 2026. The one that makes your heart race. The one you are desperate to tell someone about. Take it. Lock it in the vault of your mind. Swallow the key. And don't say a single damn word. Now, get to work.